On November 15th, 2020, Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced that the State Department of Health and Human Services has ordered Michigan's high schools and colleges to halt all face-to-face classes for at least 3 weeks in response to spiking COVID cases. Previously to this statement, districts had the option of remaining to hold in-person classes or conduct their classes virtually. Many students are still confined to their homes on a daily basis and attend school virtually. This has caused many concerns among students, parents, teachers, and the government. With students being online for full school days, which can last anywhere from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., the question of the effect on students has been posed. What are the long-term effects of online school? And more specifically, how does online school affect students' habits and emotions? I personally have witnessed a major transition in the life of college students during the pandemic. Students take school much less seriously and tend to be doing school longer than necessary due to distractions. Many students finding they can do online class from anywhere in the country, whether that be outside in the grass, with friends at a coffee shop, in bed, or on a beach in Florida. This causes the issue of distraction.
Transition to virtual learning has definitely been interesting. I think that since our community has never witnessed something like this before, there's always uncertainty in the air, which definitely gives me an anxious feeling. My habits have definitely changed. Instead of getting a lot of my exercise from walking to classes or to the library, I've had to form a different routine, especially in the gym. When we first started classes online, I was definitely upset because I wasn't able to see my friends and communicate with my classmates in person, but I am now getting used to it, and it is better that I'm able to be with my friends in East Lansing while learning virtually on my computer. The transition back to in-person learning will definitely be awkward because we're so used to learning only through our computers, but I think we'll be able to transition back into our old ways pretty easily because that was all we were used to before. In the beginning of quarantine back in March, I would joke that by the end of the pandemic, I would have no social skills because I was only talking to my family and not really my friends in person. But overall, though, I think I was able to maintain my personality and still able to communicate just as well, hopefully. Online learning is a completely different type of schooling, and it does take some getting used to. My biggest issue is remembering remembering due dates and figuring out a good schedule for myself. But now that I'm getting used to it, I kind of have a routine, which seems to be pretty successful.
Students' mental, physical, and emotional health is also at question. With school being virtual, students are sitting down all day without the exercise of going to and from school. Socialization has decreased dramatically, leaving many students depressed or unhappy. Now, I did interview a second grade teacher, Kristen McNally. She works in the Birmingham Bloomfield Hills School District as a teacher. She has been for many years. I interviewed her, but she, due to COVID, was unable to meet with me in person, so she sent me a list of her responses, and I will be saying them for her. Well, it's completely different, really. Kids are expected to learn, and be engaged through a screen. It was all completely new for them and for all of the teachers also. It was also really harder at first to connect with students and get to know them because we started the year remote. So when we began the school year, I typically, would go around and shake everyone's hands and officially meet them and introduce myself, but I wasn't able to do that this year because everyone was on a screen. Keeping them interested, focused, and engaged with this type of learning environment. I teach 7-year-olds who need to move around a lot and often need support and help to complete assignments because they're still pretty young. At school, I can walk around tables and desks and check in with the kids. Students were used to a completely different way of learning last year before the shutdown, but they weren't happy to be back at school. When we moved to hybrid, it was difficult for some to complete their asynchronous learning assignments or have them take them seriously. Asynchronous work is what they had to complete at home since we were only in person half a day. For my students, yes, they absolutely did. Some had a harder time remaining focused and listening. Others would ask for help when they needed it, but some didn't really ever reach out. I would say that the students who had consistency and support at home during the day still did pretty well with their work. I did notice that several students didn't put the same type of effort into work that was completed at home. At times, some looked sad or stressed or tired off screen. I'd send happy emails and like chat with kids privately in breakout rooms to check in. We took brain breaks in class, but many were quite disinterested by the end of the day. It's a really long day to be staring at a screen the whole entire time. As of now, I have not noticed any effects that seem to be long lasting, so to speak. We were able to maintain and improve reading and math levels while students were remote. I'd say some students are maybe a bit behind in writing and spelling than other second graders in years past at this point in the year. But now that students are back at school, keep practicing and polishing up those skills that might have lacked the last couple of months. This way of teaching was very, very different from being in person. I had to learn many new technology tools in order to adapt to remote teaching. I used Google Classroom, Zoom, Google Meet, iMovie, and Seesaw to name a few of the things I really had to get pretty comfortable with. Overall, I tried to stay positive, enthusiastic, and encouraging to the students to help promote their enthusiasm for learning when we were remote. I'm so glad to be at least semi in person now, however, whether the teaching remotely, hybrid, or all in person. I want the students to love the second grade, and I really want them to enjoy and look forward to coming to school each day.